How on earth were y'all late for the show? Y'all were both literally in the studio.
Sorry, man.
3 minutes passed. Y'all the only the three of us in the building.
Listen, man.
Two of us were already in the studio, and y'all were late for the show.
No, man. I tried to be as fast as I possibly could. Well, welcome into McElroy Cubelic in the morning. Damian Mitchell.
It's a short break.
Conrad Van Order.
It's a short break.
John Saber here with you, filling in for the guys on this President's Day, this Monday. We appreciate all y'all listening. 205-834-9450. We're here. We made it. Hope
You're out of breath.
Yeah, man. The break was too short. It's a quick turnaround, man.
Did you go do some sprints down the?
Well, I tried to put a little pep in my step.
Okay.
Tried to put a little pep in my step. But I hope everybody had an exciting Valentine's Day weekend. Hopefully you enjoyed your time with your loved ones, and we'll talk about it throughout the day. Just kind of the different phases, because I had been single for a while. Valentine's Day was always looked at as it's a nice holiday, but if you ain't got nobody to spend it with, it's kind of, you look around, you're not necessarily in vain of everybody that's in love, but also it's, man, maybe my time will be here sooner or later. But now that I'm engaged, and
I feel like there's more pressure on you when you're searching.
Yeah. And we went out bowling yesterday. We took the actual day of Valentine's Day. We just chilled. We didn't do absolutely anything. And again, we're prepping for a wedding and a lot of moving parts in that.
I was about to say, you got some expenses, yeah?
Yeah. So we just kind of chilled. We went bowling yesterday, and you could kind of tell that, you kind of read the room of, okay, this is somebody, we kind of looking at some couples around, and it's like, okay, this is their first date.
Yeah.
And then you kind of see, okay, they picked the right, you kind of you vibe out. You see the vibes and how everything's going of, okay, they look like they've been in a relationship for a while, and then you kind of look and see, okay, this is their first time really hanging out. They didn't want to put too much on the actual day, so they went the day after to kind of.
Or somebody forgot, and they're scrambling. I thought it was on Sunday. But no, my wife's favorite thing is, if you're at dinner and you sit next to another couple and you can tell that maybe they're on a first date and it's not. We've just been there before, and it's not going well for the other table, and it's actually pretty entertaining. But hopefully for this weekend, everybody didn't find themselves in that situation. But
no. I hope everybody had a lovely weekend. We know for one team in the state, it wasn't so lovely on Valentine's Day, as the Auburn Tigers fall to the Arkansas Razorbacks down in Fayetteville, 88-75. But something that we discussed early on in Morning Jocks, something that came in before the game. Stephen Pearl announced that he suspended indefinitely Auburn's leading scorer, Keyshawn Hall, just basically saying he hasn't lived up to expectations as far as what it takes to be a student athlete there at Auburn. And you go back to the game against Vanderbilt, as you mentioned this week, earlier in the week last week, where he wasn't out there on the floor in crunch time when Auburn was trying to claw back into that game. Mm-hmm. And again, he's your leading scorer. But I think Stephen Pearl is starting to set a precedent of, hey, man, you still have to do what's required no matter what's going on. And I think that we had seen multiple instances where, body language, and I brought up a point earlier on, you could tell some of the body language from Keyshawn Hall in certain times, it didn't necessarily feel like it reflected that of leadership. Because, again, we know how talented he is, but also when your team is searching for just a win, especially during this stretch of conference play, and then having to suspend on paper, your best player has to be a gut punch for Auburn moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it. He's your leading scorer, and you look at a game like this one against Arkansas on Saturday, and you go, well, if that guy's on the floor and he just plays a modest game, he'd probably find a way to win. Yep. Or at least, maybe it's a 2-point loss instead of a 13-point loss, something like that. But I think that, coupled with the fact that, and we'll talk about this here in a minute, but I guess Todd Pettiford finally becoming the player we all thought he was going to be this season. He's now there, or at least for the last few games he has been, and it seems like he's kind of turned the corner finally. And so now you just go, man. So we didn't get this earlier in the year because Pettiford was struggling. So Keyshawn Hall, he kind of takes the reins. Now Pettiford's taken back over. Keyshawn Hall's struggling, maybe not as much in the game, but mentally, and just kind of how he carries himself and how he plays as a teammate. And you got to be sitting there kind of pulling your hair out as an Auburn fan going, what is it going to take to get these guys on the floor together playing high-level basketball? Because if they do that, I mean, you might have two of the best guards in the entire country. Like in terms of a backcourt tandem, it's going to be tough to beat that for a lot of places. But yeah, it's never a good look. And I mean, I made the joke, I brought it up, but last year, right, with this Auburn team, what was the story early on in the year? They got in a fight on a plane. They kind of sorted out all of their problems. They put it to bed early on in the season. I know at the time it was jarring, but it led to a Final Four run. Now, I'm not saying that if that same thing happened this year, this is a Final Four team necessarily, but I guess it just kind of shows the difference of last year. You had some guys, and I think it helped. You had veteran leadership, right? You had your Janai Brooms. You had your Dylan Cardwells. You had guys that had been around the program. They were your go-to guys that the younger guys could look up to and go, all right, how do we move now? How do we move? How does this team move as a unit? And you don't have that this year. And you've heard, whether it was Stephen Pearl or other people around the program calling it out, it's just unfortunate that leadership doesn't seem to be there this year.
Yeah, just going back to the game with Arkansas again. Arkansas knocks off Auburn 88-75. You get 29 points from Tahad Pettiford. Obviously, it was his best performance that we've seen all season long, where he kind of took the reins of, hey, if nobody else is going to score, I got to do what I got to do. And I look at what Keyshawn Murphy did as well, giving you 22, but everywhere else, it feels as though Auburn is just deficient in every single aspect, because again, they struggled shooting the three, and it didn't continue. I mean, that continued during this game too. They go 6 for 19, but I look at what Auburn has been. You know, they've had that go-to guy with Janai Broom last year. You kind of know what the identity of the team is by this point in the season. Either they're starting to peak at the right time, or they're starting to dwindle. And when you look at this team, the lack of consistent scoring from Tahad Pettiford, and even now Keyshawn Hall is suspended, you don't know where you're going to get the points from. And again, when we're having a discussion of Tahad Pettiford scoring 29 points, you're thinking Auburn has won that basketball game. They lose by 13. So there needs to be other guys to step up. And again, when your number hasn't necessarily been called, because we know Tahad Pettiford's going to get his shots, we know Keyshawn Hall is going to get his shots. Well, now it's your time to step up, and they haven't necessarily done that. And Arkansas, again, a team that you beat the brakes off of at home, you go on the road and you like a completely different team.
Well, and the problem is you had, in the absence of one Keyshawn, you had the other one, and Murphy step up, but then it kind of fell flat everywhere else, right? And so you look at the game on Saturday, and so Auburn scores 75 points. 51 of those points are Tahad Pettiford and Keyshawn Murphy. 24 are the rest of the team combined. And then you look at the numbers behind it. Keyshawn Hall and Tahad Pettiford combined, they go 20 of 34 shooting. That's 59%. Really solid. Everyone else, the 24 points, they made 7 baskets. They shot 22% combined outside of those two guys for Auburn. So it's rough. And again, it felt like you were maybe one player away from being able to be in that game and win that game. And, not to pick on, but, it doesn't help when a Kevin Overton's 1 for 13 or an Elijah Freeman's 3 for 10, right? Those are guys that you would normally expect to get more than that from. But unfortunately for Auburn, right, you miss some easy shots, and you're missing a guy that, maybe not in the role that he's in now because of where he stands, but Keyshawn Hall needs to be the guy, especially with how Pettiford is playing earlier in the year. Maybe it's changed now, but that's the guy in crunch time. You say, here's the ball. We're drawing up this play for you. You're going to go get us 2 points. You're going to go get us 3 points. You're the bucket guy. And you don't necessarily have that. You do with Tahad Pettiford, but you would like to have that with Keyshawn Hall as well simultaneously. And it also puts more pressure. I mean, you look at the minutes that these guys are playing. Tahad Pettiford played 38 minutes. Murphy played 34 minutes. Kevin Overton played 39 minutes. He was on the bench for a minute.
The whole game, essentially.
Like, you see how stretched thin these guys are when someone like Keyshawn Hall is out. And, credit to them. They did the best that they could. And I thought overall the team put up a good effort, knowing going in, hey, we're without our leading scorer on the road against a ranked opponent in SEC play. That's a tough spot to be in, even with your whole roster. And I did think that they gave a good effort. It's just you have two guys leading the charge and everyone else just kind of struggling their way through it. And I don't know how big of a distraction it is, but I have to imagine if you're, dealing with that in a locker room throughout the week and coming off the Vanderbilt game, I think, it wears on you a little bit. They know what's going on.
It does. Let's see. Auburn is now on a 4-game losing streak after just going after finishing up a 4-game win streak up until they went on the road to play Tennessee, then lost to Alabama, then Vanderbilt and Arkansas. and they look to get back on the winning side of things on the road at Mississippi State on Wednesday, which Mississippi State just won the Egg Bowl of basketball.
They did the
weekend.
EBOB.
Yeah. So
Right? That's what y'all call it.
Who was y'all?
Oh, I forgot. You're not an Ole Miss basketball fan.
No. I'm a fan of the team that actually won this in the state of Alabama. That would be the Alabama Crimson Tide. Me and you both, Roll Tide. They knock off South Carolina 89-75. And again, it's one of those things that South Carolina's not a good basketball team.
Nato said that after the game, didn't
Yeah, he basically said they have no talent. They have no talent. And Alabama went out there and beat them by 14. But it wasn't the prettiest of games for Alabama. You kind of tell that they were going through the motions for a period of time. But the talent started to rise up in the end, and Alabama knocks off South Carolina.
Yeah, no, they good night shooting the basketball, 41% from deep, 48% from the floor. You did leave some points out there from the free throw line because you only shot 70% there, going 19 of 27. But I mean, in terms of an all-around effort, your guards, they lead the way. You get 58 points combined from Holloway gives you 20, Philon 19, and Reitzel 19. And we were talking about this a little bit earlier, but it feels like this is kind of transitioned into this is where they're the most comfortable with Reitzel coming off the bench and what he's done the last couple of games. And Nato gave him a lot of kudos for, that's a guy that's been around this program a long time. Like he, if anybody could probably be upset and go, oh, you're taking me out of the starting lineup, it might be a guy like that. But instead it's, hey, I'm going to embrace this role, come off the bench and do it. It reminds me a lot of like Holloway last year, right? Where it was, he was better coming off the bench, and he played really well in that role. And now you've seen him kind of work his way more into the starting lineup and continue that success. And with Reitzel, it's whatever the team needs to do, put me in that position, and I'm going to do what I can to help. So I think you got to feel really, really good about that. They've now won 4 games in a row in SEC play. They're now 18-7, 8-4 overall. And you're, in a direction right now, you're trending. You look at what's ahead of you. You got Arkansas on Wednesday. That's not going to be easy. You still have Tennessee again. You've got Auburn again. Those are not tough, or those are tough. Those are not easy games. But you got to feel better about your spot if you're Alabama of maybe getting that double bye in the SEC tournament moving forward right now. But look, 14-point win at home. You're going to take it. You didn't play great, but you don't have to against a team like South Carolina because, them, LSU, and Oklahoma are essentially, they're trading places every week on who's the worst team in the conference this year.
Yeah, and I look at what Alabama's been able to do. And again, we're at this point in the month of February getting you set for March Madness and everything. Like bracketology is going to be updated pretty much daily as we move forward. But you feel like Alabama's starting to get it together a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It may not feel as what it was when, the Mark Sears years when I felt like, okay, this team is starting to ride hot. But they're finding ways to win amongst, maybe it might not be the best shooting night, but they're starting to figure out what they need to be moving forward. Like Amari Allen, for example. He's starting to become, and I made the comparison a couple days ago, like kind of like Herb Jones, where you're not asking him to go out there and give you 50. We're not asking you to go out there and give you 20, but he does just about everything. He doesn't have to be great in one specific thing, but he does everything else pretty good. He's attacking both offensively and defensively on the rebounds. He'll give you some steals. He'll give you some blocks. And if he needs to give you 9, 10, 11 points, he's good for that, as well as, Aiden Holloway starting to find his stroke. And we know what LeBaron Philon is, and Latrell Reitzel coming off the bench now really accepting his role and still putting up points. It seems as though Alabama's starting to figure it out at the right time.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about that. And Amari Allen's a guy that, if you follow around with the NBA, I'm looking at it right now. He's going to be a first-round pick in the NBA draft. Right now, I'm looking at a big board right now. He's the 26th overall prospect in the upcoming class. Philon's 21 for what that's worth. Axel Lindenborg's going to be a lottery pick.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, Amari Allen has really – he's just that all-around, like, you need something done, he's going to go get it. He'll go get you a board. He'll make the extra pass. He can hit the 3. Mm-hmm. He's done a great job. He fills up a stat sheet every time he's out on the floor. And like you said, right, you need one of those guys, like the gritty kind of Herb Jones-esque player. So, yeah, they're playing really good basketball right now. And, make no doubt about it, Florida's still the class of the league right now. Arkansas is right up there as well. Vanderbilt's playing really well. But Alabama kind of there in that next tier where if this is the way they're going to keep playing and you're going to be able to snowball this into March, Not saying they're going to make a run to the Final Four or anything, but I think you feel a lot better about them getting out of that first weekend and being a Sweet 16 team. Or if, you get a good draw, maybe you do see, I could see an Elite Eight run. We'll have to wait and see, but certainly seem to be playing probably their best basketball of the entire season right now.
Absolutely. 205-834-9450. Your text message, your calls, always welcome here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. We'll pivot a little bit from the college basketball discussion to go into college football. Of course, a lot of action as far as judicial system is concerned with NCAA and what is eligibility now. We'll get Paul Finebaum's thoughts on the other side as he joins us each and every week. Thanks to our friends at Craneworks. Keep it locked here on Mac and Cube. $7:19 here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Damian Mitchell, Conrad Van Order, John Saber filling in for Greg and Cole on this President's Day. And as he does each and every Monday here on Jocks, it's the mouth of the South, the one and only Paul Finebaum, thanks to our friends at Craneworks.
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it, Craneworks, Rentalworks, yeah, the big dog's got it.
Paul Finebaum on Mac and Cube in the morning is brought to you by Craneworks. Lift it, buy it, rent it, the big dog's got it. Now, Paul Finebaum.
Paul, we appreciate you joining in with us. And as far as college football is concerned, now everything seems to be decided in the court of law. Trinidad Chambliss is unofficially, who knows at this point, but he has eligibility. Just kind of get your reaction on how everything went down there in Mississippi to grant him a 6th year of eligibility.
Well, it went the right way because the NCAA was shown to be completely fraudulent and biased in this courtroom. And I know a lot of people will say, well, it was a hometown court. It doesn't matter to me if the judge was dressed in an Eli Manning jersey and saying and kept saying hotty toddy after every time he hit the gavel. It was the right ruling based on what the facts of the case were. This was very much a factually based case. Did Trinidad Chambliss have documentation? Did he have a reason why he was asking for an additional year based on the fact that he did not play because of illness at Ferris State? And why the NCAA was so arrogant and haughty and simply wrong in the way they handled it, I'll never know, because I guess I do know, because they have gotten away with such activity for so long and being strong-armed. And this time they finally got called on it. I don't think this case really will impact anything else, but it was the right call. And on top of that, it's a significant moment for the Ole Miss Rebels, because they are a much better team today with Trinidad Chambliss than thinking what we know about Deuce Knight, who will be a good quarterback, but he's not in Trinidad Chambliss's league today.
You're a smart guy, Paul, so I'm hoping that you can help me sort through this because we also have the Joey Aguilar case going on, and we're still waiting for the final verdict after that hearing on Friday. But, I go to the Charles Bediako thing, and I know they're completely different, but that ruling seemed to be based on a judge not wanting to set a new precedent for college athletics. So with the Joey Aguilar case, it feels like that precedent was already set last year with Diego Pavia. So why do you feel like now the NCAA is trying to kind of bow up a little bit with the Joey Aguilar case when, in my opinion, it feels exactly like the Pavia case last year, and he got to play?
Well, in fact, they were joined in that case for some time, so
Yeah.
they are very similar. And I think there's a lot of pressure from presidents and commissioners to the NCAA, like saying, stop all this nonsense with letting players play aimlessly. But that's really where we are. And I think the COVID year opened that door, and nobody really has a good handle on whether junior college matters or not. And it's just a different. You've heard this a few million times now. It's a different world. And players are taking advantage of their freedom, and they're going to places. And by the way, I think it's good. People always would say, well, the NCAA was this or that. Well, the NCAA had a system where if you were penalized by the NCAA, you could appeal it, but you were basically appealing it to almost the same people. They may be different individuals, but they're all part of the same group, and rarely did anyone get any significant relief. So this is a really unique way of doing it. It started in many ways in Alabama about 25 years ago during the Ronnie Cottrell case, where the lawyer kept going to court. It didn't really help win the case, but it scared the NCAA to death. And now they're having to defend everything. And quite frankly, they should have to defend everything.
Okay, so a quick follow-up for you. Do you ultimately think that Joey Aguilar will be able to play for Tennessee this fall, or do you think that they're going to deny him? If just your gut feeling.
My gut feeling is he's going to play, and I'm basing that on very little other than the fact that the judge kept referring to Tennessee as we. He did not sing Rocky Top, although I think it's copyrighted, and he probably knows the copyright laws. But I think he took the weekend to write his decision knowing that it was going to be skewered. But I just sense that Aguilar, they're all different, but my feeling is he is going to get the additional year.
Here with Paul Finebaum as he joins us each and every Monday here on Jocks, thanks to our friends at Craneworks. And Paul, I'm kind of looking at the college football schedule moving forward, because now it seems as though we're getting deeper and deeper into the month of January. And we had Blake Toppmeyer on the show a few days ago, and he told us that the conference championship games are starting to be held hostage in a sense, because now it kind of shows that there's no value in it, because we look at what Georgia did to Alabama, and yet both of those teams were still in the college football playoffs. Do you think that we're going to get to a point where conference championship games don't really matter in the grand scheme of things because the playoff is going to expand to, 16, 24, however many teams?
I think conference championship games are on life support. And I don't want to sit here and say that they aren't important, because all you have to do is go back to Nick Saban's final year at Alabama. They're very important because he won that game. It cost Georgia, who had the best team in the country, probably the national championship. I don't think there's any really debate about that. Georgia would have won. So that was a significant moment. But the last two games with Texas and Georgia, and this year, what we had in Atlanta just didn't really have a lot of significance. Yeah, if you're an Alabama fan, it was fun to go over there and be in that game again. But
it wasn't fun to be there, Paul.
Well, no, I do remember the afternoon. But the point being, we knew going into the game when it started that Alabama was in the playoffs. What happened was all the know-it-alls in the media watched the game in real time and had to tweet, "Oh, the Alabama doesn't deserve to be in." But that wasn't the point. Alabama looked terrible, and quite frankly, we can argue some other time. Maybe they really didn't deserve to be in, but it wasn't because of that game. That was a bonus game that they were playing, that Miami wasn't playing, and Notre Dame wasn't playing. So you really couldn't penalize Alabama for dogging it in Atlanta when the other two were sitting at home watching the game. So I think as we get closer to expansion, I think we're pretty close, either 16 or 24 or some combination, you almost have to get rid of these games. And I say that, and we've all been to these games countless times. They're great events. They're money makers. You have to figure out how to handle that part of it. But I think the mindset now is these games have outlived their usefulness.
So there was another report that came out last week around the Big Ten and them passing around this idea of the 24-team college football playoff. And I think it was made pretty clear that Greg Sankey and the SEC want the 16 format, not the 24. With Greg Sankey and the SEC essentially bending the knee with the 9-game conference schedule, do you feel like we're going to be at a stalemate now where the SEC goes, all right, we gave you what you want, so we're not going to bend anymore, so to speak? And do you think that the Big Ten is going to have to kind of meet them in the middle? How do you see this ultimately playing out? Because right now it seems like both sides are firmly in their stance and not really willing to negotiate a whole lot.
It is a real problem. Back in May, when this decision was made to go to 9, most people agreed with it. And I was one of them, because I really got tired of hearing the Big Ten criticism. Now, a number of months later, I think people are changing their minds, because they're coming to the reality after the way the season ended that the SEC already plays a more difficult schedule. They made it more difficult now with that additional 9 games, especially if you have 5 SEC games on the road, which Alabama will next year, not this year. So it's almost as if the SEC said, "Okay, we'll do. We are making a necessary move, but nobody is helping us." And I think that's a real problem right now. And I think the commissioner has to figure this out. Or, I mean, by the way, he doesn't have to, but I think his membership is going to ask him to, because a lot of the same athletic directors who were in favor of the 9 games are now getting cold feet. And there are a couple of them who I think even want the 24 games. But I just think 24, from what I read the other day, seems a tad ridiculous. I think 16 is a good number. I think 16, though, would put the conference title games in dire straits. 24 eliminates them. 16, there's at least a conversation about it.
Paul, final question for me. I just kind of want to get again, it's early on in the off season, but is there a team in the SEC right now that you feel confident in going into the season that could knock this Big Ten stretch of national championships?
Well, I mean, I think if you're practical, you have to look at who are the best teams in the SEC coming back. And I think it's likely Georgia, with Texas on the same level. I think either one of them are capable, depending on circumstances. I don't know beyond that. Texas A&M is a little bit of a wild card. I think LSU is a playoff team. I don't think LSU is capable of making that run, but they're going to. I think LSU is definitely a playoff team. Alabama, I'm not confident in right now. So you're asking. I boldly said last year, and by the way, I just said it because I believed it, the SEC would win. I thought Georgia or Texas had the best chance, and I still think they do. But I wonder about the Big Ten. You look at the NFL draft right now, some of the mock things, and I mean, I think there are 4 Ohio State players in the top 10 right now projected. I don't know how they didn't win the national championship this year. I was convinced that once they beat Texas, they were going to. So it's a little bit difficult. I don't think there is that super team next year. I don't think you can also predict an Indiana situation. So I feel after a very long and meandering answer, there are at least 2, maybe 1 or 2 more.
All right, Paul, before we let you out of here, I do have to ask you one SEC hoops question, and it has to do with Auburn. So you've been around this league a long time, and obviously a little bit of a unique situation with, the way that Bruce Pearl decided to step away and handing over the reins to his son, Stephen Pearl. And now you've got an Auburn team that's, played a really difficult schedule. They've had some impressive wins, but now they're on a 4-game losing streak. They just suspended their leading scorer for not living up to the standards of the program. I just kind of wanted your perspective on this first year for Stephen Pearl and kind of how that transition from Bruce to Stephen has gone so far.
I think it's gone very badly. And I think some are arguing that Stephen Pearl ends up being his father. This is the week. I read a column today by Kevin Skarbinski about that. You know what? I don't necessarily buy that. I don't like what I see in this team. And when you suspend a player, you don't do it because you're trying to win some sort of award. You do it because the player has clearly violated team policies to a point where you cannot tolerate it any longer. So I'm not about to give him a parade because he kicked off his best player. It just tells me that the players weren't listening to him. Other than that one big win, I guess maybe 2 big wins. I think he beat Florida on the road, which is, I think, an outlier. And I think did they beat Arkansas or not? I'm trying to remember.
They did at home, yeah.
Okay. I mean, those are really good wins, but what's happening right now just doesn't add up. And they are in serious danger. And if you go from making the Final Four to not making the NCAA tournament, I don't care what your last name is, Auburn fans are not going to be very happy.
We appreciate you, Paul, waking up this morning on the. I know it's a President's Day. It's a holiday. We appreciate you hopping on with me and Conrad, in place of Cole and Greg this morning, man.
Well, first of all, I want to compliment both of you for showing up for work today. I don't know where
Paul.
the other 2 guys are, and I have no idea why anybody would take off President's Day. I know that's none of my business, but I compliment you guys for having the fortitude to be there.
Speaking of President's Day, Paul's going to have a president on later on today. Stephen A. Smith's going to join the show, right, Paul?
That is exactly right. He will be with us, I think, about an hour during the 3 o'clock Birmingham hour. And the goal was not necessarily to talk about him running for president, although I think that's what we're going to talk about.
Paul, we appreciate you, man.
Thank you, Paul.
You bet. See you guys.
That's Paul Finebaum, host of the Paul Finebaum Show, which you can hear every single day from 2 to 6 here on Jocks, thanks to our friends at Craneworks. He joins us every single Monday. We'll try to recap everything that we kind of discussed with Paul about on the other side.
That caught me off guard. I went, wait, what?
Right.
Thought they weren't going to do that.
Absolutely. Keep it locked right here on Mac and Cube in the morning. Oh man, welcome back to McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Damian, Conrad, and John here with you on this President's Day. If you're off, hopefully you're enjoying your day off, and hope you had a great Valentine's Day weekend.
You mean an NBA All-Star weekend?
Yeah. We were discussing in the break of, like one, I'm so used to it being in prime time. 7 o'clock Saturday, Sunday. If you want to watch the Celebrity All-Star game on Friday night, feel free. I didn't catch any of it live, and I really forgot it was on. Or
Never had plans to catch it. Yeah,
I was expecting it to be at 7:30, 8 o'clock. I catch a little bit of the All-Star game. No, it was already wrapped up by the time I was diving into it.
Yep.
But hey, Damian Lillard won the 3-point shootout. I do know that.
Yeah, we learned that. I guess Keyshawn Johnson's cousin. That's what I don't know.
Won a slam dunk contest.
I don't know if they're related or not, but maybe they are. Yeah.
Yeah, he won a slam dunk contest. Plays for the Miami Heat. You said he averages how many points per game?
3.
Okay. So
I had to look him up.
Doesn't play much.
He played at San Diego State.
Okay.
For what that's worth to anybody, but it's like I was telling them in the break, like when I was watching ESPN last night to kind of like, okay, let me see what went on, and then you get into the 15-minute Mac McClung, emotional piece on his career and why he hasn't made it in the NBA yet. I'm like, I just don't care
at all.
I just am not interested in this.
Y'all just gonna act like Daytona 500 didn't happen over the weekend too?
Michael Jordan won, or his car won.
Yeah, JJ Redick won the Daytona 500.
JJ Redick?
Something Redick. I don't know. I saw Redick won 5. I was like, dang, all right.
One of them.
Yeah.
Oh,
Tyler Redick.
Tyler Redick. That's JJ's cousin.
Tyler Redick was the driver. Michael Jordan is the owner of the vehicle.
I want to say something about his gambling habits. I was like, you think he put any money on his boy to win?
Yeah, he invested in the team.
He took him to court. Took NASCAR to court. Came out on top. His birthday's in a couple of days. It was like tomorrow, whatever. So he had a good long weekend.
He had a good one.
He did.
Shout out to Michael Jordan.
Sure, he was playing some quarters.
It's
back
crazy.
There.
The greatest, one of the greatest basketball players to ever breathe. To ever breathe on the court.
Wow, okay.
To ever breathe on the court. Skipped NBA All-Star weekend.
Well, they're showing LeBron highlights in here, so
Yeah,
Well, yeah, because LeBron didn't make it out of the first round of the like typical LeBron.
Stop. We're not doing it. But no, I just find it funny that, he doesn't even care about the sport that he was great in when it was All-Star weekend.
Does he still own the Hornets, or did he sell that?
No, I think he sold.
He sold that.
So he has no stake in it at the moment. Right, yeah.
Yeah, he was not a good owner there. They were a disaster.
Last I checked, he won a championship. Well, it's not a championship, but it's a People's Championship, the Daytona 500.
Yeah,
so, for sure.
Yeah. So
he's winning on and off the
LeBron,
court.
Daytona 500s, 0. Michael Jordan, 1. Boom, debate over.
Goat status, that's right.
Yeah, just add that to the legacy.
I'm sure that's what Skip Bayless is saying this morning, wherever he is.
We
garbage can he always throws those jerseys
that's
in.
right.
Oh, gosh. It's coming. We had Paul Finebaum on in the last segment, and we just kind of gave him, we kind of discussed just the landscape of college football, starting off with the Trinidad Chambliss ruling. And now it kind of, you flip the page and you look at the Joey Aguilar situation, and Paul says his gut feeling that Joey's going to play this year.
I think he should. Going into Friday in the hearing, I thought that was 100% slam dunk. Like I thought that of all the, the 3 big ones, the Bediako, Chambliss, and this one with Aguilar, I thought this was by far the most cut and dry. Like, oh, he's going to play. There's not going to be a problem here. But then when you started to hear the way that the judge was talking in the courtroom, the way that the NCAA attorneys were talking in the courtroom. By the way, if you didn't know this, both the judge and the attorney from the NCAA, not only did they both graduate from law school at Tennessee, they're both season ticket holders for the football team.
Yep.
And you had the NCAA attorney, straight up tell Joey Aguilar, hey, you're a hero around here. Like you've inspired a lot of kids, but that doesn't mean that we're going to let you break the rules and continue to play. So it was just very, very different how we talked about, you're having these court cases and, what you would expect some home cooking, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're doing it it's a home field advantage, a home court advantage, no pun intended. And this judge seemed to kind of go out of his way to let you know, hey, I'm a Tennessee guy, but I'm not going to let that sway me. And it's almost like he overcorrected a little bit. So it'll be very interesting. I'm almost more interested if he gets denied what the response will be, because again, like we talked about with Paul, it's the Diego Pavia case from last year. And so the concerns that are being raised right now, should have been the same concerns that were raised last year, and he ultimately got to play. So I do think at the end of the day, the right ruling will be made because I think he does have the right to play for another season just based on the precedent that's been set in the past. But I mean, I guess as we learned, you never know what's going to happen with the NCAA. And yeah. I think a lot of people didn't think they'd beat Charles Bediako in court because they just have the stigma now that you sue the NCAA, you're going to win. And they got to win there. And now they've lost in the Chambliss case. So I guess this is the tiebreaker, right? We'll see if they're winners in the SEC this offseason or not. But I just kind of wanted to be over for a little bit.
I'm with you.
Like, can we not have another one of these for a year? Which I'm sure is not going to happen. We'll have more of them pop up. But it's just, man, it's like, can we just figure out who's going to play and who's not going to play? Because I know, especially like, for Ole Miss, getting Trinidad back was huge. Oh, no 100%. Doubt about it. And I know, Paul kind of talked about that. And I don't know if Deuce Knight is necessarily ready to take over that pressure right now. But you feel like, okay, if he couldn't play, they have somebody there that they're confident in. With Tennessee, it's a little bit of a different case. If Joey Aguilar isn't eligible, it drastically changes how I view Tennessee this upcoming season. So I guess we'll ultimately see. But
how do you view Tennessee? Tell me what it's like if Joey Aguilar does get to play and what it's like if he doesn't.
So I think if he does play, I think they're in a similar category right now, probably where I would put Alabama in the I don't think they're like right now. If you were to project them in the playoff, I would say let's hold off a little bit. But I think they're in that next group of okay, a couple things go right. Joey Aguilar takes that next step. I could see Tennessee being a 9-3 type of team next year. That's kind of in that conversation of the playoff bubble in the SEC. Because I think defensively, they hired Jim Knowles,
right?
Who I think you could argue is maybe the best defensive coordinator in the entire country. That was massive. I know they got the defensive end, what was it, Chaz? The guy from Penn State who was like the number one pass rusher in the transfer portal. Like, they put a lot of money on that side of the ball because this year it let them down. And you go back 2 years ago and you're like, man, that Tennessee defense had really come a long way. So I think that side of the ball, I'm a lot more optimistic. And look, I liked Aguilar. He, threw a few too many interceptions. I enjoyed one in particular right before halftime, but other than that,
Oklahoma.
No, similar colors that he was looking at though. So maybe he had flashback or something. But I think if he plays, Tennessee should be better than they were last year. I think if he doesn't play, man, that could go
south.
It could, but
we hadn't seen whoever's
it's
going to take the reins.
I mean, who knows? Maybe they're still an 8-4 team, but if he doesn't come back and you tell me at the end of the year you look into a crystal ball and Tennessee 6-6, I'd be okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Now with Trinidad Chambliss having his eligibility
playoff or bust. Playoff or bust.
Even with Lane Kiffin,
you were one play away essentially from playing for a national championship.
That is true.
With Pete Golding as your head coach. Lane Kiffin's never won a playoff game, Damian.
Oh, I know.
I don't know why y'all are still so caught up in him. He's gone. No, Damian, he's gone.
I mean, there's a lot of things that go into it. The whole tampering stuff with Pete Golding, too. And is the situation with him and Clemson going to be bad blood from this point forward?
Yeah, the 5-7 Clemson team we're going to get this upcoming. I'd be I'd be really worried about that. But quickly, you being the Ole Miss guy, like just your reaction to win, because I know you weren't. You were off last week. Were you surprised that he ultimately got ruled eligible, and what does that do for your expectations?
One, hearing the case on three-man front, like hearing the arguments on Thursday, I started to feel confident that, wow, he actually may play. Like it's kind of leaning that direction. To me, he is the best quarterback returning in the SEC.
I agree.
I mean, it's close with him and Gunnar Stockton just because Gunnar Stockton's a gamer. But as far as what he's able to do and what he has meant for that team, Trinidad Chambliss is the go-to guy. I do think that there's still some question marks defensively because you saw the physicality that Miami was able to use and kind of just the ground and pound attack. Ole Miss just could not stand up to that. But you go back and you look at that Georgia game where they threw punches and they also took punches. And so it's can they find the pieces? And again, shout out to Lane Kiffin. He got the players out of the portal from Ole Miss defensively that are going to be impact players for LSU. They like TJ Daugherty. That's a big piece for Ole Miss that you're not going to get back. And you look at some other pieces along.
Uman.
Yeah. So the pieces that are taken away, they're big. Now, and again, the transfer portal, who knows? There may be a name that we may somebody may come from, FCS level to the FBS level and can excel at Ole Miss. But I do think that having Trinidad Chambliss come back, it is important because now he is the guy.
Yep.
Whereas last season, Austin Simmons taken out early, and he got better week in and week out. And it's like, okay, yeah, Trinidad Chambliss, why wasn't he the starter day one? Mm-hmm. Now we know he is the starter day one moving forward. So I think that on the surface, on paper, it looks great because you're still returning Keywan Lacey in that backfield. Now it's not to say that Deuce Knight talent-wise, I have no question about. He's still a sophomore, and now he's jumping into a whole different system in year 2. So maybe not push everything for him and kind of lean on that run game. Well, now you got a guy that's returning for his second year, and it's light this thing up and let's see where we can go. I think it may look a lot like it was a couple years ago where Ole Miss may be averaging 50 points a game, but defensively they may be averaging 40. So I think they're going to lean more to going back to just let us outscore these teams as opposed to we can actually win with our defense a little bit more, but. You feel like you're in a better spot now that Trinidad Chambliss is back for sure.
Yeah, you're just in a different arena too, right? Because you finally, you cracked through that threshold of making the playoff, and now people saw what you did once you got in, and that's the expectation now is not only to make the college football playoff, but to win multiple games and be a competitive, on a national scale for a national title. So we'll have to wait and see, but a lot going on this morning. Trinidad Chambliss, Joey Aguilar, the lawsuits in the SEC. What does it mean for those teams moving forward? Alabama, Auburn basketball from the weekend. We'd love to hear from you. 205-834-9450. That'll get you on the courtesy GMC text line, and we keep the conversation rolling here on Mac and Cube.
7:52 here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Damian Conrad and John here with you, filling in for the guys. Hopefully enjoying their time off. I know Greg, he was on a skiing trip, and I hadn't heard from him. I hope everything's okay.
Yeah, I do too.
As far as, I mean, he's an athlete still. Got the whole family out there. Maybe
I don't know, man. I'm watching some of these Olympic guys, and they're, it happens to the best of us.
What's someone with the little hills where their skis are constantly kind of
That's what we were
around?
just watching.
Okay,
and like, how does your ankle not explode like the Seton Hall baseball player? Did you see that over the weekend?
Yeah,
that was a shame.
That was
after a home run, no less.
That was
nasty. Yeah, that's kind of one of the. What Cole always asks: "Are you injured? Or are you hurt?" That brother is injured.
Yeah, I don't think you're playing again this year after that one. That was
way to go out though on a home run, grand slam, wasn't it?
I can't remember. I know it was. So I remember. I think it was a 2-run home run because it was to take the lead.
Yeah.
But then they were like, he's got to touch home plate. Like he's got to find a way to get up and.
Well, at that point, you got to Byron left.
Get around the base.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Absolutely, or just drag yourself across the dirt. But
that's tough. That was tough. And it was nasty.
If you haven't seen that, don't go look at it. It's gross.
Nah,
it's really gross.
It really was. 205-834-9450. Kind of just been all over the place a little bit just to start things off because, again, we're just recapping the weekend, both Auburn and Alabama on the hardwood. We actually got some All-Star Weekend coverage, also Daytona 500.
We covered all our bases.
Yeah, we did. And we heard.
College baseball started, by the way, too. This was opening weekend.
It did. College softball, too. I saw a little softball.
Oh, so did you see yesterday, speaking of college softball, I just randomly saw this. Did you see the score of the Oklahoma game?
I did not.
So they played UTEP yesterday.
Okay.
They shut them out. Any guesses as to what the score was?
Since it's Oklahoma, I'm going to say about 20-0.
34-0.
That's just disrespect.
Was it run ruled?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
That's just disrespect.
Well, I mean, sometimes it may have gone the full 7.
No,
so.
34-0. The craziest part about that though was that's only tied for their largest win. Like that wasn't a record. It's tied. 34.
Y'all gonna give me one more?
Yeah, I know. 34-0. That's disgusting.
Yeah, that is. 205-834-9450. Your calls, your text messages always welcome here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. I'm gonna say morning jogs. Somebody texting is also want to mention you guys, as you know, Tyler Reddick, and car owner Michael Jordan won the Daytona 500 yesterday. Michael Jordan and Brad Daughtry are the only 2 NBA players who have won NASCAR Cup Series as car owners.
Is that Chris Daughtry's brother?
Chris Daughtry, American Idol.
Yeah, the greatest snub in American Idol history.
What's the song? Don't tell me.
Got a few of them.
There's one. It's not over.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
yeah. It looks like Justin Arcels. Yeah. That guy. Yeah.
Until you said,
you know what?
they favor.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I had never thought about that.
Yeah. Brad Daughtry doesn't ring a bell.
Daughtry, but all right.
Daughtry, my fault. Yeah. Who do you play for? Are you familiar with Brad Daughtry?
I could pick him out of the lineup, but he wasn't
he wasn't A-lister?
I want to say Charlotte, but I'm not 100%.
He played for...
Is he an A-lister?
He played at UNC, and then he played for the Cavs.
Okay, maybe that's what I was thinking. UNC, okay.
So it's pre-LeBron.
Dang, he looks like Orlando.
Yeah. That's shock of the century. Yeah, the 2 NBA... Well, I guess when you hear an NBA and NASCAR owner, you don't see a lot of overlap, but yeah, it's... He would have... He failed the resume test.
Hey, he's a 5-time All-Star in the NBA. Yeah. I'm sorry, man. I know. We got to put respect on that name.
Yeah, my fault, bro.
When drafted before 2003, you don't care about it. I get it. Okay.
It didn't happen.
So it goes LeBron, Michael Jordan, Brad Daughtry, right? That's the pecking order.
He's probably the second. He's probably the second most important Cavalier behind LeBron. So I throw Brad in there.
It might be Delonte West, even what he did.
You wrong for that.
I think he's wrong for that.
You wrong for that.
I think he's wrong for that.
If Kyrie wasn't busy trying to prove the Earth is flat, he'd be mad that you just said that.
Oh boy, we got 2 more hours of this, y'all. Y'all buckle up. Conrad's going to give us top 5 quarterbacks in the SEC. Keep it locked right here on Mac and Q.